An applied border is a technique that is used to add a border and to bind off the last row of stitches simultaneously. So here I have a tiny little shawl, and this is my last row of stitches. Now I'm going to add a border that I'm going to knit horizontally at the same time as I bind off these stitches. So you'll notice that I have a nice dark lifeline threaded through the stitches, and this is going to safeguard my stitches below on the shawl, and also it's going to highlight the shawl stitches, which you'll see later. So we'll end our work after your pattern will direct you, either ending after a right side or a wrong side row, and then it will ask you to cast on a desired number of stitches for your border. So here I'm going to cast on 5 stitches using the cable cast on method. If you need a refresher on that, just go to my cable cast on video. So I'm going to go to this stitch right here, this last shawl stitch, so in between the first and the second, and I'm going to start casting on my 5 stitches. So there's 1, and in between the first and the second stitch, and 2, 3, 4, and 5. So we're just going to start with a very simple little border. So you can see here are my shawl stitches that need to be bound off, and then here are the extra 5 stitches that I've cast on. So what we're going to do is we are going to knit the border stitches, and this can be in any pattern. And we are going to work our way until we get to 1 stitch before the border stitch. So I have knit 4 stitches. This is my last border stitch, or 1 stitch before the last shawl stitch, and I'm going to work these 2 together. This can be a knit 2 together, a slip 1, knit 1, pass the slip stitch over, or an SSK. But for this demonstration, I'm just going to go ahead and knit those 2 stitches together. So I still have my 5 border stitches, but I have bound off 1 of my shawl stitches. And I'm going to turn my work to the wrong side, and then you'll work these 5 stitches. Now here I'm just going to knit them, but they can be knit, they can be purled, or they could be in a lace pattern, whichever border you choose. So you can see on this side of the work, not a shawl stitch was involved, so nothing was bound off this time. Now I'm going to turn back to the right side of my work, and I'll show you that again. So I'm going to knit 4 stitches, or to my last border stitch. So here I am. Here's my last border stitch, and here's why I really like having a nice clear lifeline in. Sometimes if you're working a complicated pattern, it's easy to get lost along the way, and did I bind off that stitch or not? But I can clearly see, because of my nice blue lifeline here, that this is my last shawl stitch row that I need to decrease with. So I'm going to knit the last border with my shawl stitch, knit those 2 together. So another stitch has been essentially bound off, and turn to the wrong side. Now some patterns may have you slip this first stitch, and they'll let you know that. I'm just going to go ahead and knit it. And then I'm going to show you when I get back to the right side how possibly a little lace pattern would work on this. So back on the right side, let's just say that I'm going to knit 2, slip 1, knit 1, yarn over, knit 2 together, yarn over, and now it comes to my last border stitch, and again I can see because here's my lifeline going through my shawl stitch, and I'm just going to go ahead and work those 2 together. So I did a little lace this time around and keep working. So as you can see, I keep binding off shawl stitches, and adding my border. I would keep working all the way across until all of my shawl stitches have been bound off, and then I'll be left with 3 stitches or whatever your pattern requires, and I'll just simply bind those off. It's a great way to add a border to the end of a shawl. Happy knitting!